As my kids always say, hi everybody, how are you doing? How are you doing? I am super excited. Hi Nemo. I'm super excited about today because we have the queen of all badass bows. And I'll tell her some secrets about it all when she gets on, but before she gets on, I always like to check in and let you guys know, that I'm hanging in there. I'm actually doing well. I'm getting into the new swing of things. I'm no longer in Liberia, people, so it's been a little interesting. But life is good. I have a lot to be grateful for. That's okay, Nemo. Thank you. You're amazing. And she has some time. We like to give everybody a chance to come on, so it's okay. And I like to check in with everybody. Hi, Shar. My very first guest, my good friend and sister Charlene is always on, and she's like, they always say like, for every woman who has success, there's a WhatsApp group cheering her on, and Charlene is definitely a part of my WhatsApp group. I'm in Maryland, Bug. Yeah. So this week, what has happened this week? I don't know. So much has happened this week. I am finally getting into the swing of work. There's so many amazing opportunities. I'm just trying to navigate, finding time to jump on calls. I'm being very honest with people about, how much time I have to jump on the phone with them. I call when I find a moment. So everybody who, I can't jump on really quickly, just forgive me. Thank you. And, I'm looking forward. Things I'm looking forward to is the Andre Harrell tribute, Champagne and Bubbles, coming up on the 24th. So make sure you catch that up. I think Versus has the dance hall this Saturday. What else is happening that I'm excited about? Oh, there's a lot of exciting things happening. Well, there is an exciting, so to understand like African governments, it's really weird. It's not weird. It's very, it's very rare that you get to see opposition coming together. So Liberia, I think there was a benchmark moment that we had yesterday. So we pray that it sticks in terms of people coming together and work together for the country. Regardless of what it is. But I think that that's really important. I actually did a talk with a good friend of mine, Liz, and she has this with other African girls. And there was a girl named Amini on there who talked about, she's writing a book called A Love Story. And it's really about African leaders and development and, and what that love story is. Because usually you protect things that you love and you want to nurture things that you love. So, I know Aaliyah is like definitely the Thursday crew. So, all of my regulars, send me a whoop whoop. Give me like the fives or whatever. So, I don't know. I'm not that cool with Instagram. But you guys are in for a treat. I'm so excited about, being able to talk to this woman because I think we all, if you don't know who she is, then I don't know what rock you're under. Nadia, I don't know what rock you're under, but if you don't know who she is after this, session, definitely go do more because as women, hi Tanya, as women, Black women, African women, even Kuna made it on here. Lord Jesus, we are making progress. Sometimes we don't realize we deserve a space. We need to own the space and we need to be unapologetic about, the space that we want to occupy. And this girl has done it, I'm going to say flawlessly because I'm sure that's what it looks like to us. But I think we do know that life is not always rosy. But, what we get to appreciate is how you get to see how you come out on the other side, and how you let that hold you. Big Blue, to know my career and how I got to, got a lot of the hustle in me is, there's a guy named Blue Williams. He's the check finder. Join him, follow him, because he really instilled quite a bit in me to get me going. He believed so much in me. So Blue Williams, manager of many extraordinary artists. So yes. I feel like my mind is going blank because there was something I really wanted to talk about because I wanted your opinion on something, but I've been having to navigate getting the kids out in time to make sure that I can get on here in time and actually look somewhat decent. But, you know, hey, what are you going to do? Bindu is on. And Bindu, I know you went to school with Bose, I think. I think you guys went to the same college, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway, how is everybody doing? You know, let me know. Yes, we have our master class. Blue and I actually, Blue and I are setting up a master class for people interested in artist management, but also, you know, understanding how to hustle. Funny enough, you know, Bose talked about hustling and what that means, and it's basically, you know, accomplishing what people see as impossible. So I'm gonna bring Bose on because she's here, and I want to know where you guys are. Tell me where you are. Tell me, you know, what city, what state, what country. You know, let's see how that's going. I'm gonna bring the fabulous, the amazing Bozoma Saint John. And she's going to tell me how to really, because I'm like Bozoma, you know, but I like to pass. And I have a song I'm going to play while she's coming on. I have a song for you.
Oh, you do? Let's hear it.
Can you hear it? Hold on. Can you hear it?
She's a rich girl.
Oh, yes. How did you know?
Girl, listen.
How did you know?
Listen, I'm going to tell you this full disclosure.
Wow. That's so wild. That's so wild. I literally just said this song like maybe 2 hours ago. Somebody else, totally somebody else asked me like what, you know, what my like theme song is or like what my favorite song is. And I said that. So now I'm just like, sis, how did you know?
So I'm gonna give you, full disclosure. So you became a friend in my head about 3 years ago.
Oh, I didn't know.
Yes. Yes. And I never told you that. So when I did have an opportunity to really connect with you in Ghana,
yes,
I was like, oh my God, thank you, God, you didn't disappoint.
Oh my God.
Thank you. It was even better than I thought.
Oh my God. You are hysterical, first of all. Okay? Hysterical. Let me turn on this light too so you can see me.
So
I'm like, what?
And when I heard, because I heard that this was your song back then when we were friends and we were friends in my head. And my cousin Nima, who's probably on here, that was his theme song for me.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Get out of here. Wow. No, that song though, right? First of all, the lyrics. Can we talk about that?
Yes, that song is for real, for real. That song is for real. Yes.
Wow. Well, I mean, this totally makes sense because clearly we're not just like friends in our heads, we're sisters.
Yes.
And now it's like, I mean, we're forever. Like, you can't get rid of me, even if you wanted to. So I'm like, you're kind of stuck with me for life.
Yes.
And the fact that we share like a favorite song totally makes sense.
Yes.
I mean,
absolutely.
Oh
but
my God.
I have to do, because let me tell you, I've been preparing for this because I feel like although I'm so happy that you made the time to come on and share more of you, because Lord knows that's part of our conversation, like how you do such a good job at doing that and what it does to you, but how you've made it work, you know, and have made it part of, you know, what is important to your responsibility and your obligation to others. That's how blessed you are. I have to read through your bio because I think people know you. Not your full bio, but I want to let them know a little bit about why you are as badass as you are and why you own it, because, you know, sometimes we don't know how to own it. So, and people see you, and many people follow you on Instagram. They're like, you know, this chick is bad. But let me tell you what makes up all of that. Just only some. So Bozoma Saint John, I like to call her Boz. Actually, truthfully, I like to call her badass because I think like, you know, like who does that but her? And she's the CMO of Endeavor. If you don't know what it is, please Google it because I don't even have time for that right now. Prior to this role, she served as brand Chief Brand Officer at Uber Marketing, executive at Apple Music, where she was a key figure in Apple's acquisition of the audio company Beats. And I know we all know Beats and then Beats by Dre, and we know what happened there and what that did for Dre. So if you don't know, again, I'm not going to spend too much time because I want to really get to the juicy stuff with her. She led PepsiCo's thrust into the music world. Now, what that means for those who don't know is you guys remember Beyonce halftime show, you know, all of that good stuff. So, you know, go check her out because her name is on there. Like, you know, the footprints are there. It's Pops is on here. Hi, Pops.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah. She said, oh, Lord. Clearly a woman that knows who she is and whose she is. Born in the U.S., raised in Ghana and the United States. Unapologetically, I added this, unapologetically Ghanaian, Black, a woman to the core. Okay? My own self, Uncle President Nana Akufo-Addo.
Hello.
This is his girl. This is his girl. And how cool was it, you know, that you landed in this, like his national address? Because I didn't deserve it, because Lord knows you did, you know, but that's just, you know, that's just who you are. And your role in the success of Ghana's Year of Return Initiative, and like, girl, you know, Ghana is, you know, he says, I want Ghana to be the gateway to Africa. And I'm telling you, you got a notch on that belt in the role you play in making that happen. You are clearly a marketing visionary, a super mom, a dope ass daughter. Because don't think I didn't see that gift you bought your mom, that car. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, that's right. She deserved it.
Yes, clearly. And I met her.
Luxury car, by the way. Luxury.
And the auntie.
Luxury.
You got about your auntie. We'll get to and, you know, recreating your own narrative. And let me say, I know that it's not been all easy. You have had some bumps in the road. Your Mother's Day post, girl, took me back.
Oh.
You, girl, okay. Anyway, I know it's not been easy. And as her Instagram profile says, she's redefining badassery. I love that.
Yes.
I know I have notes, and I know everybody else on here is taking notes as well. So, everybody, you know, let's get the high fives, the snaps for my girl, somebody who I'm so proud to get her out of my head and now put her in my world, because totally inspired by her daily, girl. I don't even know how you do it. Thank you.
Thank you.
What I'm not going to let you do, and I don't know if he's on you, I'm not going to let you Dell my interview. So what you did.
No, but I do have to give it up. Like the fellow Ghanaians who are also on. I saw Miss Nadia Musa, who's on, who's like from the diaspora for the president of Ghana, who was super instrumental in everything that happened in Ghana and continues to. And obviously I made fun of Pops, but he is a super Ghanaian as well, and former NBA player. An all-around incredible person who is also creating new opportunities for athletics in Ghana. So, I mean, I'm not alone, but I thank you for the incredible introduction and also just having me on the platform. And just for a second, I also have to big you up, okay? Because you ain't nothing small either, all right? So we got two queens on here.
Oh, yes.
Who I am, yes, because I am certainly so impressed by everything that you've accomplished in your life, the way you've moved in pop culture, the way that you've influenced it in ways that, you know, sometimes it's like we forget that the people who are actually pushing the culture forward are actually the ones who are holding it also up. So for all of us who are benefiting from what we are seeing in the world and pop culture, I thank you as well. And for the work that you did, of course, this past December, for us in Ghana, for the Full Circle Festival, incredible work. And it would not have happened, would not have happened without you. So yeah, somebody says you're the truth. You are the truth. Amen.
By the way,
yes.
She's the truth. Brave is the truth. She's my trainer. You should have seen how she whipped me into shape post the triplets. And Nadia's going to be on here in 2 weeks, by the way. So we're going to.
Good. There we go. Yes.
No, I have to have Nadia. And thank you, darling. Means the world coming from you. And before it gets into a Boz show, let me get into the people who want to know. And I want to start because, you know, one of the things we we do on this show is just, try to make everybody understand that, you get to go through this pandemic or life moving forward as it works for you. And, I want to start with how you're coping with this new reality. What's changed for you?
Yes. Oh my goodness. Well, it's so interesting. Gosh, there's so many places to go with that question because, for a little while, like at the beginning of the pandemic, by the way, I landed from my last trip to Ghana back in the US on March 10th, and then in California, which is where I live. And the state went into, stay at home orders like on the 14th. So I barely made it back into the country before it was like all shut down. And at first, I think for the first couple of weeks, I was in a state of sort of like, solution making, because that's who I am, that's what I present. It is what I've always done. And even, you reading my resume, part of the success of that is that I'm always trying to innovate. I'm always trying to find the new way to do something. It is my habit and my career.
Right.
And so when we were given the stay-at-home orders, I was sitting, starting to think about like all the ways that I could create something new. I'm sorry, I apologize. Pops is
I know.
Appropriate.
I saw that. I was
These
like,
comments. He's so distracting. Okay, but in any case, so stay at home for me meant that I was trying to, just recreate my world as best I could. And I think we all were, right? In a way that it's like, okay, listen, I'm going to make the best of this thing. I'm going to use the time wisely and all of that. And then I entered a new phase where I was like, oh, wait, hold on. This is going to be longer than I thought. And I don't know if I like it. It was no longer fun. It was no longer novel. And then the world started to fall apart. It's like people I know got sick. 2 weeks ago, a very dear friend of mine died. And it has hit home in a way that is just heart-wrenching, and at times I think we try to excuse our pain by saying, somebody else has it worse, so let me not complain. And while that works sometimes, even for myself, I caution against that perspective, because we are allowed to feel, we're allowed to feel. Like, we don't always have to push it off. You don't always have to see the silver lining. We can feel the pain, and it is actually healthy for us to feel that. You mentioned about my Mother's Day post and grief and all of that. And, for me, it's the same kind of concept. We're all facing a kind of grief in that we've lost the normalcy of our world. And now we know that we will never have it back, so we're trying to readjust to it. But it's unfair to compare grief in all instances. You can't say that, oh, well, this person doesn't need to grieve because, oh, they didn't have it as bad as this other person. Like, why would you say that? Right. And I saw this statement the other day that is just sitting with me, and it's what I say, like, in every conversation I have now, which I thought it was just, like, so profound to me. The thought that, like, we're not all in the same boat. That's for sure, right? Mm-hmm. We are in different boats. We don't all have the same set of circumstances, but we are absolutely all in the same storm. And so we need to honor that. We need to honor the fact that, like, you are going through something and I'm going through something. It may not be the same thing. We may not be in the same boat, because, like, I live in a different house than you do. I have, 2 less kids than you do. Like, girl, that's we need to talk about that too. But you know what I mean? Like, we are all in different circumstances.
Yes.
But we're all facing the same kind of storm. And so I am allowed to feel, the frustration and the anxiety and the sadness and all the things. I'm allowed to call my friends and, complain. And I'm allowed to sometimes call and be like, oh, please help me get out of this funk. That's okay. Yes. We're allowed to do that. And we don't always have to put on this bright, shiny face. I'm against the mask for all reasons, not the literal mask. We should wear the mask because we need to protect ourselves. I'm talking about
doing a better job with this mask, right, girl?
Okay, exactly. But I'm talking about the philosophical mask that we put on, that we pretend we're okay. And because we're in such a state where we're trying to sort of, reinvent our world, it is necessary to call on those who are important in your life, who can help you to rethink, who can inspire you. because we can't all just get it from this well. You know, the well can sometimes be a little dry and a little low, and that is okay. There's no apology needed for that. You know,
Right.
but to find the other sources of inspiration is going to be really important to making us healthy.
That I'm sure everybody on here really appreciate that coming from you, because again, you portray nothing but strength. And that's what Mother's Day post was, but you're also very open and honest, and just you are who you are. And so, you know, I'm gonna quote Jay-Z, because Jay-Z said the strongest thing a man can do is cry. And I ask you, as strong as you are, do you cry? Like what is, like, is cry your go-to, you know, is that one of your things that you do? Is that one of your go-to emotions? Like when something's happening, do you just say, I just gotta cry, I need me a cry?
You know what? I'm more of like I get angry. Is that too honest? You know what I mean? I get mad. Yeah, I
first.
yeah, I get mad, and then I cry. Like I get the angry tears. But yeah, I get mad first. And the thing is that it actually does take me a long time to get to that break, that point of anger. And it is kind of like the, it's like when everything goes black and you're just mad as hell. That's what I get to, And so there have been moments, even during the duration of our, shelter at home, where I have been like piping hot. I mean, it's just like, I'm mad. I'm mad at everything. I'm mad. Why do I have to be at home? I'm mad. Like, why can't I see my friends? I'm mad that my work has been disrupted. I'm mad that I have to, work in an environment where not every employee gets to keep their job. I'm mad at the fact that my friend died. I'm mad that, like, my daughter's 5th grade math is kicking my ass and I don't know how to do it. I'm mad that Pops is on here making comments, you know what I mean? And making me snatch hair. But, it's like, but the anger is all healthy. The anger is all healthy. And I do think that it is important for us to understand our emotions, and to be accepting of them, because it's the only way that we can work through it, And so for me, it's like, you're right. I don't really try to hide my emotions. I really don't. It's like sometimes the strength that is perceived by other people is actually just my own vulnerability that I put on display, And so to me, it doesn't feel strong, but somebody else might see that and be like, gosh, she's so strong for sharing that. And I'm like, no, I'm just sharing my pain and my truth. That's all.
Yep. And do you find that when you finally get to that place of cry, after you get through the anger and you get that, do you find that after that comes like strength, strategy? Like, because after that, oh no, I'm not going back there again for the same reason. Like
Yes. Yes, it's very cathartic. It's like you get it out. It's like, whether it is that you cry or you get mad or you throw yourself on the ground, throw a tantrum, whatever that emotion is, right? Some people get like nervous laughter, like some people get like that, like hysterical laughter, just like, it sounds a little nuts. You know what I mean? Like all of that is good. It's like cathartic. You get it out. And then you can, start to plan for something. Because isn't that always the truth? It's like when you finally calm down from being really mad, all of a sudden things seem clear to you. You're just like, you know what? Let me just think about this. Like, how can I actually get over this? Because the truth of the matter is that the anger or the tears or the tantrum or the hysterics aren't the solution. They're just a symptom of the problem that you're having. And so once you're able to get past the symptom, the way is actually pretty clear. And I think we've all felt that, after a good cry, how you do the big inhale, like,
yes.
Then you let it out and it's like, okay, let me figure out, how do I actually make this situation better for myself or better for whomever it was that is frustrating me.
Absolutely. And I think that's why it's important not to, internalize so much, because when you do get it out, you can clearer, and keep it moving and continue to kick ass.
Yes.
Hi, Benny. Benny's on here.
I know. Benny's on here too. Oh, and Jerry. I see Jerry too.
Oh yeah, Jerry. I've joined you guys with that. Why?
What, with our May challenge?
Yes.
That's the May challenge. I know. Yeah,
I don't want to do it. You're in my head, and I'm like, those wouldn't quit. Like,
I'm very proud of you. I'm very proud because that joint is not easy. And let me tell you something. Then Jerry wants to FaceTime me in the morning. This morning he did at 6:30 and give me extra things to do. Yeah. And then he yells at me. He yells at me through the FaceTime. I'm about to tell everybody. That's what happens.
So Brave is on here who trains me also. And I don't know why trainers think that that's what they're supposed to do.
I don't know why that's a tactic.
Take their frustrations out on, that's because you're good. And he knows.
You know what? It's true. It's true.
So
you know what?
Keep yelling at her. Keep yelling at her. Because then she'll keep.
But let me tell you something, okay? You know, I won't be mad at Jerry when these streets open back up and I'm out here, okay? Because the whole situation is about to be like pow, 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 pow. So you know what? Like Jerry, thank you, Jerry.
Dell just joined. Hi, Dell.
Oh, Dell. Yay.
One of my girlfriends said, she was like, girl, don't sit in that house getting fat because, post quarantine, there's going to be all these post quarantine parties. You got to make sure you looking right.
Okay, we out here.
You got a point. You got a point. Okay. Yes. Question for you.
Yes.
What motivates you besides your mom, your daughter? What gives you that level of motivation to get your butt up and say, you know what, I'm taking it to the next level every day?
Yeah. You know what? This is gonna, I don't know. That's a really hard question for me because I truly am very self-motivated. I don't succumb to peer pressure easily. I just never have. It's like if somebody says, "Oh, these people are doing this, you should go do that." Like I don't really care about that. I've maybe it's just my own selfishness. Like I've only cared about what I think, and so I have never really succumbed to that. So even then on the reverse, on the motivation, it's like I'm in competition with myself all the time. I'm always looking at what I've done, and even from a work standpoint, from my career, it is why I laugh about, this thought about innovation in this time, because I've always looked at myself and been like, hey, listen, you did that last year. Like that was so 2019, girl.
Right.
Okay. When the world was open and you could do whatever you want. Like, that was 2019. What are you doing now? When the world is shut down and, you can't be out in the public and you've got to think of new ideas because everybody's thinking of them. How are you going to top that?
Yeah.
And part of it is the motivation that, and I'm just going to say it, like, I want to be the greatest.
Yeah.
I want to be the greatest that ever did it. And so for me, it's like, I can't be the greatest if I keep repeating what I just did. So I have to get up and try again and try again and try again. And it doesn't mean that I always succeed, by the way. I've had some epic failures. I mean, some big ones that are public, and some quiet ones that I try to hide. But, I think the motivation for me is constantly that I'm telling you, Barku, like this is the honest truth, and deep in my soul, I want to be the greatest ever. And so there is nothing that's going to stop me from doing that. I
love that. But you know what, you from what I've seen, you live that way. And I think that's really, really important. And what I love about that is, you have Lael, who, by the way, I am convinced that God knew that that's who your daughter had to be. Because with everything that you guys have gone through, she is an old soul.
Ooh, yes. That girl, yeah.
Like her level of maturity, but then she's a kid. And then, like to see your interaction and to see, listen, you think you want to be the greatest? I feel sorry for anybody. Like, Lael she's not going to be a joke. Like she's already.
No. She's not. But you know what? There's a balance because there's a couple of things. You're right. I think Lael was sent to me by God. I mean, her name literally means belonging to God.
Really?
Yes, it does. And for me, it's like I am very aware that I am simply here to help guide her. I don't own her. She doesn't even belong to me. That she is a being that exists for a greater purpose. And I'm just here to help guide her to make sure she realizes her full destiny. And so when I see her and I try to encourage her and I try to build her, I'm not doing that based on my own wants and desires. you know, and it's like if she wants to do something else with her life, if she doesn't want to be in business or she should do that. You know, I know that her purpose is something that I don't even think I'm fully aware of, and that's okay with me. You know, I'm okay with not knowing what she's supposed to do, just knowing that I'm literally here to love and support her and make sure that she realizes the fullness of her own potential. That's it.
Hashtag lesson. You know, my three, because you know, you sometimes you go, I don't think I will be the mother to like push my kids in any direction. I've already accepted that, you know, they all will do whatever they want to do, you know.
Yeah.
And my job is to basically just nurture, you know, and make sure that they have all of the information that they could possibly get while they're with me.
Mm-hmm.
When they go out, they can be as great as they're supposed to be. So that,
Yeah.
but that, you know, it's really important to hear what parenting is, you know, when you're a badass Boz, because there, you know, aside from Lael, you know, all of us big girls on here also, you know, are listening and navigating. You know, you know, I'm a woman of a certain age, but like I always say, you know, I'm a young mom of 3-year-olds because I got to play that role because they're young and I have to I have to be able to keep up, because by the
Yeah.
time I'm 5th grade, I'm not doing the math. Okay, I'm not parenting, but I'm done. Okay, like I'm not doing that. So I see everybody like high-fiving and like yes, because that's such an important thing. I think we try to overdo it as parents, and I think
Yeah.
parents, Erica, as far as I'm concerned, sometimes is way too judgmental.
Mm.
I think people go overboard. It's like what works for you may not work for me. I'm an African girl. We use a lot of Vicks. You know, we
Oh, that Vicks.
that
Oh,
Vicks.
that Vicks. God, I have some nightmares about that daggone Vicks.
You know, it's a little cold outside. When they come in, I'm like Vicks. Gonna hate me. But speaking of, you know, what was your upbringing like? Because you grew up, you were born in America, went to Ghana, and then came back to the States when you were like a teenager.
Mm-hmm.
Was your parents, were they very, you know, African? You know, were there whippings? Were there don't talk to me? Because I remember when we came to America, and we came to America in 1980, and I went to one of my friends' house then, and I was like, Mommy, you should hear how she talks to her mom. My mom was like, that's great, try it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
You come here thinking you can yell at me and see what happens.
Oh my gosh. No, yeah. My parents have been very consistent. They were consistent throughout my childhood, and we actually moved around quite a bit. So yes, I was born in the US. My dad was getting his PhDs at the time, and when he was done, my
These
mom and
was
I, yes, he was
than us.
getting,
PhD.
yes, yes. One in anthropology, the other in ethnomusicology. Come on, academics, okay? Yeah, so we moved back to Ghana shortly after he was done. The very interesting thing, and this is a good context for why I am who I am and why I'm so, you know, proud of my Africanness, is that my dad came to the US on a Fulbright scholarship. So he was part of the generation, you know, that talented 10th who were swept up from the continent to go study in the UK or in America or, you know, anywhere, right? And he, after gaining his education, decided that he didn't want to stay in America. And he wanted to go back to Ghana to help, you know, essentially develop the nation. And so we went back to Ghana. He became a professor at the University of Ghana for a while before joining the government, the Liman government, which was a party that was about, you know, changing essentially part of the narrative of Ghana internationally. And unfortunately, in 1982, there was a coup d'etat, which then his government was overthrown by J.J. Rawlings. And so we had to leave Ghana shortly after that to come to the United States. And I was about 5. I was just almost 6. Following that, my dad was really unsettled, you know, as you can imagine, not just by the coup, but also because he believed so deeply in Africa, and he believed so deeply in Africans who gain power or knowledge in the diaspora coming back. He was not of the mindset that you stay outside of the continent and benefit those economies. You come back. And so he was so unsettled. And so we left shortly after coming to Washington, D.C. and moved to Nairobi, Kenya, because he still wanted to be on the continent. We were there for a few years. Before then, Ghana was then stable again, and we went back to Ghana. But the country had changed so much, and there was a lot going on in politics, and that's really where my dad wanted to be. So he decided that, Ghana wasn't going to work out either. So we came back to the U.S., and that's when I was 12. And we landed in Colorado Springs, Colorado, mostly because, he felt like, as you can imagine, all that moving around, all that disruption, he really wanted some peace of mind for his family and to raise them in a way that he felt would make us more powerful. And that's one of the greatest gifts, of my parents, is that twofold. My dad recognized very quickly, which, I'm so thankful for his wisdom in that he was able to identify very quickly that he wasn't going to be able to make the change that he wanted to in his own life, and that he was going to afford his children the kind of change that he wanted to make. And I felt that very deeply. I'm the eldest of his children, and so I felt it not in terms of like what I needed to do as a career, but that my impact was going to be the continuation of his own legacy. And I feel that to my core. And my mother, on the other hand, was very instrumental in not allowing us to assimilate. When I say that we had a consistent childhood, it's because of her. With all of the moving around, she was absolutely determined to make sure that we understood our value as Ghanaians, to the point where she didn't speak English in our house. She didn't speak English to my little white friends that would come to the house for sleepovers she would. She'd be like, you speak English when you're at their house. When they're in our house, they're gonna speak Fanti right here. You know what I mean? And she just refused. She refused. And she would also, cook our foods, and that's what we would eat. We wouldn't eat pizza. We'd be eating fufu and, abenkwan or whatever else. It was that kind of determination to really understand our own value and our own worth. And so even now, 30 years later, when I walk into a boardroom and people ask like, oh, how is it that you're able to just like walk in and, do what you do and say what you say without trying to, accommodate somebody else? And I'm like, because my mother made those other people who came to our house, she made them eat our food. They adjusted to us. So when I walk into a room, you're going to adjust to me. You're going to adjust to the place I am. And so for me, it's like, it's been a complete setup for my life. There is no success of like badass bows without the foundations set by my parents.
I love that. And I was going to ask you about the role, of the diaspora, but like explaining about your father, his vision for Ghana. It's clear that you could do anything else, and I remember conversations about why you were doing this and how passionate you are about this. This was something just out of pure love. This is something you you are a Ghanaian girl. Like Liberians that are on here will get this, but like Liberians go home. We used to go home for the summers, right? Like you went home for the holidays as well. And what I love is I remember when I came to your room in Ghana, and the more we talked, and I'm like, oh, she's like a real live Ghanaian girl, like, because she's in Ghana and she is who she is in terms of her professional life. So with everybody that who's in Ghana, she knows she's got to go to Auntie's house for Christmas.
Okay.
I don't care what you do, her and her siblings. And by the way, they all look alike. And they have these amazing features. Like you walk into the room with her family and you're like, where am I? So I heard you liken it to like your own Wakanda.
Oh yes, no, exactly. There are four of us girls. We're a whole army to ourselves.
So I love that, clearly that comes from your mother, because and that consistency, because African girls and young people know growing up, you don't disrespect auntie and uncle. Chris, you know where you're supposed. I don't even care if you're there for an hour, but you got to go there. You better show face, because they have the right to chastise you in any which way, and mommy and daddy will sit back and be like,
correct.
you know.
Correct. Yes,
And
yes. They have to lay eyes on you. You know what I
yes,
mean?
yes,
And yes,
yes.
correct, correct.
And they have
Yes.
to tell you about how you're getting fat or not, and who you know, like everything that is going. You got to eat. If you don't eat, you got to eat. If you don't eat, it's a problem.
Oh, absolutely.
It,
100%. But yeah, no, I'm a for real Ghana girl. But I also see myself as bicultural, you know, and that's why I'm able to sort of like straddle the worlds because, you know, the experience that I had as a teenager, right? Or like young adult into teenage years and even like my early 20s was foundational here in the US, you know, and so the ways that I also present myself, the ways that I understand the challenges of being African American are real, you know, and so I don't see myself as separate and other. You know, that has never existed for me. And I also see myself as very African, you know, and so I don't see myself as other when I'm there. You
right,
know,
right.
I'm not part of the I just got backs. You know, I'm not part of that. You know, I'm like, no, you know, if I go to the market, I'm speaking to you in Fanti.
Yes,
Okay. Like, I'm
but
not
you do.
pretending like I don't understand the language.
Yes.
And you remember Barku, even when we were there in December, remember we were trying to go to that like Thai place or whatever. And I was just like, Thai, me, the
Oh,
whole me. I'm gonna eat Thai food while I'm on this Ghana soil. No way. No way. Are you
it,
out of your mind? No.
she was like, we need them to come with the palm wine. We need to.
Listen, okay, I'm not playing around with these people. I'm not playing around. I'm like, no, you think that like, oh, we're just, you know, oh, she's so American. No,
No,
forget that.
yes,
Okay, it's like, so I firmly have my feet, like wherever I am present, you know, and
yes,
it is true to me. I'm not putting on airs. I'm not trying to pretend like I'm something I'm not. I'm true to who I am because these are my realities. And it's part of the reason, to your point, that, you know, I decided to bring people back, you know, because it's so important for us to understand actually that connection between like the people on the continent and the people in the diaspora. You
yes,
know, we are actually not different. And so if we can understand that and if we can actually join together and make sure that the experiences that we both have in our separate places are shared amongst us, we'll actually be a much more powerful people. So to me, it's just about like reconciling what has been an ill, a social disaster for 400 years. And so I want to make sure that whatever I can do to help to encourage that kind of unity, that kind of understanding, that shared experience, that we are doing it to our full capacity and
yes,
that none of us turn our back on the other.
yes. I love that. I applaud that, and I think that's, you know, a lot of people talk about changing the narrative and changing the narrative, and I think when you live that narrative,
Mm-hmm.
because you know you can't take away from being black in America. I don't care if you're Ghanaian, Nigerian, or whatever. So
Oh,
you have to understand that you may be Ghanaian or Liberian or Nigerian or South African or wherever, but you're also black in America. And
yes.
there's certain rules that apply to you because of that. And what I love that you just said and what you do is it's almost like because of that, you enter a room. And when you enter,
Mm-hmm.
enter, right?
Enter.
You
Yes.
enter. Why do I speak? I'm Liberian. That's not like I'm gonna teach you Liberian slang before I get off of this.
That's fine. That's fine. Because I'm going to come to Liberia with
Yes,
you. So,
have to. Oh my goodness, you have to.
ah, yes. Tell
Yes.
me
So
when. I'm coming. As
yeah,
soon as they open up this world, I'm coming.
open up this world, you have to come. But I love that about you. And somebody wants to know, and I think you mentioned it, but somebody wants to know, how do you confidently navigate spaces that traditionally were not meant for you?
Oh, yeah. Well, because I think first it starts off with your own perspective, you know, in the world. Like I said, we've been lied to for a long time. You know, we've been lied to about who we are, what we can do, both directly and indirectly, right? So it's in the commercials that we've seen.
Yeah.
If you were a kid of the 80s or 90s, you remember those Sally Struthers commercials. And yes, I'm calling her out. You know what I mean? Because like those, you know,
Oh,
kids. Okay, I'm like those kids with distended bellies, all of that UNICEF. You know what I mean? I'm like, come on, that was indirect messaging to you to let you know that you are not worthy. You know, that you deserve 1 cent today. That's
Oh,
what you deserve.
that's
Okay?
crazy. I went to United Nations school, and when when you call it out like that, when you go to the United Nations school, during Halloween, you get a UNICEF box with those very kids on them, and I was going around collecting.
You see what I'm saying?
Never.
Lied to. We were lied to. We were lied to.
I mean, we did not, like, that's so crazy. God, I feel stupid.
No, but the beautiful thing is that self-awareness can happen at any point.
Yes.
The awakening happens at any point, and I don't judge anybody. I'm just like, listen, I'm here because I understand what has happened to us.
Yes, yes.
You know, and as part of my career,
yes,
and part of my marketing understanding of narratives is that I have understood the story that has been told to us. And so, yes, the idea that a kid with a distended belly who looks like you or who looks like somebody in your family is worth 1 cent a day was penetrating our minds. And so every time I walked into a room where, my value was being questioned, those stories kept ringing in my head. And that's why I have a big problem with when we talk about negotiating salaries or promotions, especially for Black people, that we think that we don't deserve it. That somehow that we're supposed to sit back and wait our turn. We're supposed to wait for somebody to give it to us.
Yeah, no.
Because like we're worth 1 cent a day. So yeah, I mean the long answer to the short question about why I walk into rooms knowing that I belong, and not just belong, that I am actually a valuable contributor in the room, is because I've had to unlearn those lessons. I've had to become self-aware and understand that some of those innate and like underlying feelings of unworthiness and imposter syndrome were fed to me when I was a young child, and they continue on today. And so every time I see videos of Black death, every time you see a Black person being chased in the street in the US, all of those things are messages that are telling us that we're not worthy. And so as long as we are paying attention to that, as long as we are not thinking through that, as long as we are not even questioning that, then of course we're going to succumb to those issues and those messages. And so, yeah, I walk into rooms knowing very well what my value is, and understanding that Sally Struthers and her friends try to tell me that I wasn't worth anything.
Absolutely. I yes. Oh my God. Listen, I feel like I need a moment.
Somebody tag her up in here. Sally Struthers on Instagram. Let's see if she,
You know what? I can't.
You know what? Forget it. I ain't gonna bother that woman.
We're gonna bother Sally.
We're not gonna bother her.
Sally,
it's okay. She's gonna feel my pepper though. One day I'm gonna see that woman in real life. And I'm gonna give it to her.
You don't get that.
Tell her to tune in.
I know, right? We're gonna tag her. We're gonna invite her to Club Quarantine.
Tell her we have some pepper here for her. Woo.
Okay. Girl, yeah, that's some truth. Yes, unlearn all of the nonsense. Unlearn everything you thought you knew. Unlearn it, because it's a new day. It is a new day. And so, speaking of new days, and I don't want to quote him, but and I think when Puff made the statement about what he expected from Biden, some people got a little offended because everybody's like, oh, I don't want Trump. How do you feel about what his statement was trying to say?
Yeah, I think he's actually trying to make a very important statement. He wasn't saying that we should vote, we should stay at home and not vote. He was saying that we need to demand that our needs are met, and that they're met loudly. And so if we band together and make and demand these answers for ourselves, then we actually have a better shot of receiving them. That's what he was trying to say. Now, of course, the fear is that if we are all quiet and we don't support Biden, that we will be stuck with Trump, which is a real fear. So I understood that. But the greater point is that if we are actually band together around the issues and the challenges that affect us disproportionately, and we force Biden or whichever candidate, okay, whoever's in the White House, if we actually band together and make sure that they're addressing our issues, we'll have a better chance of getting those things done. So I fully support Biden. I mean, I haven't, you know, I've certainly made that very clear. But at the same time, I absolutely want him to answer for the issues that are disproportionately affecting communities of color. And I won't let up.
Good, good. Please don't, and nobody else should. And as we're seeing it, you know, all the disparities now, even more so than before, we have to start holding people accountable for, you know, what they use us for. Total facts, total facts. So, you mentioned about, you know, negotiating and people coming in, women coming in, Black people coming in, and just really settling for what people give them. But you have a strategy for negotiation, you know. Girl, I told you, like, you know, you come in, and I hear that, you know, many people come in and we wait, and we're like, okay, I know what number I want to get to, so let's see what they say. But yours, you do it a little bit differently, you know. What is that strategy? Come in with that.
Yeah, well, my strategy, which is a little bit contrary to, I believe, what has been taught to a lot of people. You know, people seem to think that if you wait for the number, right? This is specifically talking around negotiation for salary or for promotion or anything like that. If you wait for them to come with their number, then you're able to sort of go back and ask for yours, right? And that's how negotiation happens, that the person who goes first loses. That is not true, especially when it comes to people of color. And that's the difference, you know? So it may work for other people, but doesn't work for us. And I learned that through the very hard way. And so I changed it quickly. I mean, listen, if there's one thing I know, I'm a fast study, okay? It's like, I'll see something, I might fall for it one time, I'm not falling for it twice. And so that's what happened to me. I realized very quickly that, oh, I see, you don't actually see my whole value. Right. That's why you're lowballing me. Right. And the problem with the lowball is that you really can't get that much higher. Right. You know, so like, how crazy do you sound? Somebody's like, oh, here's $30,000. And you're like, I want 175.
They'll be like, hey, nice knowing you.
It's not happening. It's not happening. You know, yeah, exactly. If I know my number is 175, I'm asking for 175. That's what I'm asking for. Right. You know, and that way it's like, by the way, if they're like, ooh, I don't think so, that 175, because we really had 30, then I'm like, oh, that's very nice. Homegirl down the street will appreciate that number. Peace out. You know what I mean? Because here's the other challenge of our negotiation tactics, and what we don't realize is that if you are undervalued coming in, you are never going to be valued while you're there. So why waste your time? You know, to me, I'm like, you need to be in places that value your time and your ability and your experience. And by the way, I'm not saying that you need to be like out of your head and like shooting numbers that are completely unrealistic. Obviously, do your work, do the research, understand what the medians are for the job and the career that you're trying to get into. But you absolutely need to ask for your value. And don't sit down until you get it, because you won't be valued at some place that won't ever see you.
That's a word. That's a word. Because we don't have that much time, it's almost time already. I'm so mad. I want you to give us 3 tips or advice that's important on one's path, that you think is important on one's path to success. Because everybody on here is on here because you either are successful or you want to be successful, but you already know you're great. You just need to get there, because, you know, we're not dealing with losers. We, you know, as my kids say, mommy is the winner. Mommy is.
I like that. I like that song. You know what I mean? Yeah, I like it. I like it. Okay. Well, all right. So the three tips for gaining or to realizing your own success. So I have like 170.
I know.
But I'll stick with the 3. I'll stick with the top 3, or just 3. Let me just say.
Right.
One of them, which I say all the time, is essentially come with your full self, right? Show up with your whole self, because that means that you actually understand what yourself is. You know, this is not about, again, back to the pretense, you know, of putting on some other kind of mantle that somebody else has designed. That's not it. You know, there has never been a CMO that looks like me, behaves like me, or moves like me. And that isn't because I tried to pattern myself after somebody else. It's because I fully showed up as my whole self. And that takes some vulnerability, because some people will reject you. Some people will talk about you. Some people won't like you. But you're going to have to be able to like yourself. You have to be able to have confidence in yourself. And that only happens if you understand yourself. You know, what are the unique qualities that you have that nobody else has? You know, can you love on those things? You know, can you like exalt them yourself? Listen, that whole self-affirmation thing is a real thing. You know, if you haven't done it before, I challenge you to go into the mirror. I mean, I'm being very honest. Go in the mirror, look at yourself in the eye, and tell yourself why it is that you're so important. Why are you so special? Why would anyone want to be with you? You know, those things are really important. And I think a lot of us, like, if you look in the mirror and you're too shy to do it, or like maybe you laugh, or you're just like, this is so stupid, and you walk away, ooh, then you've got some work to do. Do it, do it, do it, do it. So first, bring your whole self. Secondly, it is your race and your race alone. That's it. Okay, I told this story on an interview I did about running track, because I ran track as a high school and college student. And one of the things that we've got to do is to remember, and this is a lesson from my track days, is that you got to stay in your own lane. You know, what happens in track, especially if you're a sprinter, is that, you know, you've got your lane, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You've got your lanes. If you are running and you step out of your lane, you get disqualified. That's what happens to you, okay? Use that for life. Stay in your lane. As soon as you start to move over here, you're going to get DQ'd, okay? Your journey's over. So stay in your lane. Like, what is meant for you is meant for you is meant for you. Don't compare yourself to this other person. Don't try to run as fast as that other person. You've got to stay in your own lane. Stay in your own race. Focus on the end. That is the only thing that you have to do. You don't have to compete with anybody else. You know, I don't have markers that say, oh, but you know what? This executive made it to this stage at this age, and I need to do that. I don't have those markers. The only markers I have for myself. You know, what do I want to achieve? What's going to feel like success to me? And that's the only way that I find success, right? Is to be able to use my own markers. And the third, but certainly not
1 minute. 1 minute, so they don't.
Okay. Okay. The third, but certainly not least, use your village. Use your village. Lean on them. Lean on them. Make them accountable to you. You know, be vulnerable to them. Tell them about your fears, your insecurities. They will prop you up. And if your village isn't doing that for you, if they're not telling you how awesome you are, when you don't feel awesome, you have the wrong one. Get rid of them, even if they're family.
Hallelujah. In Jesus' name, in Jesus' name. I love you.
I love you. I love you. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
I appreciate you
so much. Kiss mom, kiss Dale. Tell her I'm enjoying all of the fabulousness. And yes, we will repost this. It will be on my IGTV and the YouTube channel. So yes, Kenny Burns, I see you.
Oh, we see Kenny Burns. I love Kenny Burns. Oh,
okay, guys. Say
Bye.
thank you, folks. Love you, Mama.
Thank you
so much.
Okay. You're welcome. Bye. See ya.
Bye, Mama.